The information provided here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or personalized investment advice. The investment strategies mentioned here may not be suitable for everyone. Each investor needs to review an investment strategy for his or her own particular situation before making any investment decisions. Investment advisory represented above and investment advisory services through Portside Wealth Group LLC and SEC-registered investment advisor. Portside Wealth Group LLC and their representatives do not provide tax or legal advice. Each firm only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempted from registration requirements. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor referenced in this disclosure has obtained a particular level of skill or ability.
Roofers, listen up. Contracts, cash flow, chaos, and control. This is the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Real talk, real numbers, real roofers getting rich. You're on the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Stacking skills, stacking deals, stacking dough. From shingles to scale, watch your empire grow. Welcome to the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to our first inaugural episode of the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. I'm your host, Ken Rewerts, with my co-host, Scott Graves, and our other co-host, also, he's going to be a longtime guest. He's going to be with us very often, Randy Runyon.
That's right.
Today, we want to go ahead and tell you about what this podcast is going to be about, what we're going to cover, how it's going to help, why you should listen, so on and so forth. So to begin with, we want to introduce ourselves, who we are, why we do this. So we'll start with Scott. Scott, tell us, why did you get into the financial industry?
Why did I get into okay. Formerly, we all have a former life, right, that we're going to talk about. But formerly, before I got into finance, I was a public school teacher. I actually taught band in middle school and high school band for 6 years. And that was always kind of my dream, is what I wanted to do. But after the financial crisis, I got laid off in 2011, and because property values went down, and so property taxes went down, and that's primarily what funds schools. So got laid off. I was living in Texas at the time. I was married. I had 5 kids. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life now. But my parents came down to visit, and my dad had been in the financial services industry for forever, and he invited me to go into business with him. Now, I don't know how many of you guys out there have ever been in business with family, but it can be complicated. So I was hesitant. But we are, we're all pretty religious folks. And so we decided to pray about it, my wife and I. And I had a hard time seeing myself in sales. Like, the way that I thought about sales at the time was, the sales is like the guy, the Far Side comic, that the salesman who goes and sells a bunch of refrigerators to Eskimos, right? That's how I thought of salesmen. They're always trying to get you to buy something you don't need. But
And of course, Eskimos don't need refrigerators for everybody.
Yeah, just to make that clear.
What do they do in the summertime?
That's true.
Good
Makes
question.
a good point there,
That's
Scott.
a good question. That's a good question.
Sales 101.
You never know. Anyway, but after praying about it for a while, I remember distinctly I was kneeling by my bed one night, and the thought, I was like asking God, is this something I should even consider? And the thought that came to me was, you're not a salesman. What you are is you're an educator. You can educate all day long. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So that was the mindset that I brought into the finance industry, is really, I'm just going to educate people on what their options are so they can make a good decision for themselves. And it's been fantastic. I've been able to really, give a good life to my kids, take care of, some medical needs that they've had that I wouldn't have been able to afford if I was teaching. And so it's been a real blessing for us. And it's a lot of fun. My clients have been really happy with the approach, I think. And I was able to buy my dad's business from him in 2017. And so it's been successful. I have a lot of fun doing it. Now I kind of gradually worked more and more with roofing business owners. And now it's a fantastic, group of people. Love the blue collar mindset. Love, helping these guys be successful and in a way that's sustainable, and that, help them to build the kind of wealth that they ought to be able to build.
Love it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How are you, Ken? I'll turn it back on to you. How did you end up getting into the industry?
Okay.
Why are you doing what you're doing?
Well, I a little bit of different path. I used to be a carpenter. Did finish carpentry.
Nice.
Installed cabinets. Did other finished carpentry like molding and what have you. And I really enjoyed it. In fact, my wife always mentions how that was the best shape I've ever been in my life, which is
She
interesting.
liked that, huh?
I think
Subtle.
she's partly telling me that I'm in bad shape now, I think is what she's saying. What was interesting about that, though, is I ate a Snickers bar and a Dr. Pepper for breakfast every single day. I think that teaches us a lesson. But I did that for a
Breakfast
while,
champions.
and I did really like it. I liked working with my hands. I like working with wood. To this day, I still like doing that. But I had other odd jobs since then. And then one day, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should come and interview for this company." And it's a financial company. I'm an investor. And I said, "Okay, sure, I'll do that." And I went and interviewed with them. It went well. And I remember doing a Zoom interview with them. And the reason they hired me, or the reason they brought me in, one of the big reasons was as I was doing the interview, I had to stand up because I think my dog came in the room. They saw I was wearing board shorts with a suit jacket. And so they said, "Oh, that's the kind of thing we're looking for." So they brought me in. But I did that for a while, and I realized I didn't really enjoy selling financial products. That wasn't really my cup of tea, but it was making decent money for me, and I had multiple kids at the time. And then something happened where the company I was working for, they started selling this product, which looked like a great solution for a lot of our people. Um, and they had done their vetting process. They looked into it and all this stuff. But after using that product for about a year and a half, um, something happened with that company that was providing this product. And all of a sudden they went into bankruptcy, and all these clients that had this product were scared out of their mind. What are they going to do? They're losing this. Am I going to get my money back? And all these advisors I saw in the industry that were selling this, they started leaving the industry. And clients were mad. And the other advisor that I had working with me in Colorado, he left Colorado and went to Kansas City. And so it left me in Colorado working with all these clients. I remember driving home one day, and I called my wife and I said, I don't want to do this. I want to go back to working with, in cabinetry or working a 9 to 5. And she asked me a question that kind of stuck with me. She said, I support you, but what's going to happen to all those clients? And I said, I don't know. And so the rest of the drive home, I was thinking about it, praying about it too. I'm a religious guy too. And I got home and I decided I can't leave them like that. So I stayed in. I stayed in the industry thinking I was going to see them through this situation. I'm going to see them through this bankruptcy. Make sure we can get back as much money as we can to these clients. And while doing that, the relationship I developed with these clients who are going through a hard time changed me. I realized all of a sudden that's why I want to do this. I want to make sure that these people are taken care of. Not just through the good times. The good times are fun, but through the bad times. Making sure we can solve the problems, making sure we can take care of these issues. So that's why I stuck in this industry. That's why I love doing what I do. We joined forces, you and I, Scott, back in 2001 or 21.
Right.
And we've loved working together. I really like working with blue collar people.
Mhm.
They seem down to earth, honest and straightforward. I like that with my background. So roofers was a good fit. And working with these guys who work in that industry. So that's my
Nice.
story.
Right on.
How about
Right
you,
on.
Randy? What got you into? So to let everybody know, Randy is joining us in the financial side of things. He has a passion for it. He loves the solutions that it can provide people. But he has a background in the roofing industry. He's currently a roofer, has his own roofing company, and does well for himself. So has great insight into that kind of stuff. So Randy, tell us first, kind of opposite what Randy and I are doing, or Scott and I are doing, but tell us first why you got into the roofing industry, and then why you're wanting to join the financial industry.
So I'm a fourth generation contractor.
Oh my gosh.
And
didn't
being
know
a
that.
contractor is actually the last thing I ever wanted to do. I told myself when I was young, because I watched my grandpa, his brothers, my dad, my brother, they all did it. And it's not easy. I'm not saying I didn't want to do it because it was hard, but I just never saw them. It didn't seem like they really flourished. And I was always jealous of the white collar finance guys. So literally I went to school to learn finance. I wanted so bad to sit behind a desk and just help people with their finances. And I love math. I love teaching.
Yeah.
But wanted to make money, so I didn't become a math teacher. Um,
Good call.
and so went to school, got my degree, worked in sales. Gosh, how long were we there? 9 years? 8 years? Something like that. Had a degree, had a bunch of sales experience. That company shut down, and okay, to back up, to pay my way through college without having to do student loans, I got into roofing. Just selling roofs, because I had a background in construction, so it was easy to jump into, but I didn't have to swing hammers. Knew a lot of people because of my dad. He was a contractor, and it just made sense. So paid my way through school doing roofing. Got away from it. We can talk about that in another episode. And started
And
working.
we will.
It is a good story. But worked behind a desk for a long time, and thought that that's what I was going to do. And then when that company shut down, I had 8-9 years experience, a degree, and I got referred to a bunch of different places that were white collar, finance, sales, something. And for the first time in my life, could not find a job. So I became a contractor out of necessity. I took the money that I got from severance and remodeled my wife and I's second house, and a bunch of people started asking me if I'd go work on their house. And my wife was like, "You've been running from it your whole life, hun. You know what you need to do." And so believe it or not, I'm very religious too. And I prayed about it. And
I'm glad to see we have something.
Well, and ironically, I was praying, please help me find a job in finance. Help me find something other than what I ended up doing.
Anything else?
But because he's a lot smarter than me, and there'll be plenty of stories to back that up, I started doing remodels and got my contractor's license. Been doing that for 11 years. And then in 2019, Heavenly Father was just like, "Hey, you really need to revisit this roofing thing." So I started a second company, which is Havoc Roofing, and fell in love with it again. Wanted to do it different. There's a lot of awful roofers out there. And so that's why I got back into the roofing space, and I love it. And we can talk about why I'm back in the finance and going to do both, as we dig into this more and get into the details of that. So
right.
That's me in a nutshell when it comes to my career.
Fantastic. Right, I think it's interesting that you were the one guy of the three of us that wanted to be in finance, that went to school for it.
Yeah.
And ended up doing something totally different.
I love that. So we're going to be talking about, over the coming episodes, this podcast is going to touch on really subjects that pertain to roofing business owners. This isn't really going to touch on the details of how the technical stuff of how to put on a roof, of how to, which shingles to get and why, and all that kind of stuff. This is more how to take that roofing company and build it and use it for something that's going to create a lasting impact on your life and the life of your family. A lot around the financial solutions that are specific to roofers and business owners, and how they can use that business to really create that life that they want for themselves. So we'll be touching on a variety of subjects, things that really are important to these roofing business owners throughout this podcast. Anything to add to that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to, for this podcast is to help roofing business owners build their business into something that is of value, that it's a value to them, it's a value to their clients, it's a value to their employees. And there's a lot of talk in the roofing industry about selling your business, and if that's what you want to do, fantastic. And certainly there's a lot of education that will come from this podcast that could help move you in that direction if that's what you want to do. Our goal is not necessarily just to say, go sell your company. Our goal is to help you build something that you could sell if you wanted to. But if you wanted to hold on to it and have it create something, an income for you, that could last forever, then that's something that you could get out of this too. We're also going to be talking about, how to protect your business against, some of the financial pitfalls that can happen. We're going to be talking about how to, and those could be anything from the loss of a key employee, or the all of a sudden something, the weather changes and there's no roof, no hail that year, nothing that's really causing damage to roofs. What do you do in that situation, or how do you prepare yourself against that type of a situation? So those, we want to educate you on the things that you can do to build your business for sure, and then how can you protect that business that you have built, and how can you create, how can you turn it into something that you could sell if you want to, but you don't have to. You could, and which of course puts you in an even better position to sell at the right time for the right price if you don't have to sell your business. That puts you in a better negotiating position if you ever do end up in that situation. So that's what I would add to that.
Great. Thanks, Scott.
And then Randy.
Well, I think one of the things I'm most concerned about and passionate about, something I just went through, is there's a lot of people in the industry trying to take our money. And by that, I mean everyone's selling something. And it's real easy to spend all that money that you just made on the storm, thinking that you're investing in yourself when really you're not. We get sold on invest in your business, put it back in the company. That's the only way you're ever going to grow. And then in the end, maybe 10% of that actually worked and you didn't invest anything in yourself. And now you and your family are in the lurch, and your salesman made a bunch of money. Everything you bought, that company made a bunch of money, and you're wondering where it all went. I know it goes against the trend of, the owner should be paid last. I don't know. I think a good CFO is going to show you how you can make sure you're paid no matter what. I don't care what order it's in.
Right.
Make sure you pay yourself. And you guys are good at helping us take that money and safeguard it. Turn it into retirement if it doesn't sell.
It's interesting you said that. A common phrase that we use in the financial industry when doing any kind of investing or planning is pay yourself first, right? If you have a good plan in place, you can do that. If you don't, you can't.
And the only people that are telling you got to pay yourself last are the people that want your money.
Yeah.
Because if you pay yourself first, they're worried they might not get paid. So I understand the mentality, but
right.
That's where, as an owner, you have to have a team that can show you when you can pay yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before it's too late.
Right.
Because if you wait till the end to try and pay yourself, you're never going to get paid.
Right.
Totally agree. Totally agree. It's I was thinking while you were talking, Scott, about what we do for roofers and why we're passionate about helping them, and the shortfalls, where the pitfalls that we've seen, and how to help. It reminds me of Alignment Financial, what we did just beginning when we weren't working with roofers, we're working with individuals and families. And the reason we called ourselves Alignment Financial, right? We call ourselves Alignment Financial because we try to align people's values with their financial decisions, right? That's where the term came from. But we saw so often, Scott and I, when we're doing these plans with people, that they would talk about, okay, how do I invest to make as much money as I can? We'd say, well, why? And they go, well, because I want to retire. Why? Because I want to, I don't know, sit on a beach somewhere. They don't really know. Why do I have this tool? Why am I building this thing? And inevitably, we'd get to the point in the conversation where we talk about legacy. What's the legacy you want to leave? And people would always say, well, when I die, I want this money to pass on to these kids in this place, and this is how I want it to go. And it bothered us, Scott and I. That's not our legacy. Our legacy instead is, what impact are we going to make in the world? How are we going to improve the life of people around us right now, right? And again, if you have a plan, you can do that now. You can pay yourself first, and you can do that in a responsible way. And so we looked at roofers, and we saw the same thing happening. We talked to all these roofers. We saw them all saying, okay, I'm going to build it, and this is a common thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to build it to sell it, build it to sell it, build it to sell it. And all these guys were hearing this and going, yeah, I'm going to build it to sell it, and all this time. I'm not going to pay myself. I'm going to put it all back into the company. And then years from now, there's certain events going to come up where I'm going to sell my company, and then I'm going to find that pot of gold. I'm gonna have that pot of gold, and now I can live my legacy. Now I can have the life I've been looking for. And Scott and I were looking at each other going, no, there's a better way, right? Let's live that legacy now.
Right.
Align your values with your financial decisions now. And that when you get to that date of selling the company, you can look at that private equity firm and say, you know what? I don't need you yet.
Yep.
Everything's good. I don't like the offer you gave.
Right.
So let's wait a little bit of time. So Randy, I want to ask you, one of the big reasons we love having you with us, and this really just meshed together so well. I remember sitting down with you, what was this, almost a year ago now? 6 months ago? Whatever that was.
About 6.
6 months ago.
Not quite a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year, 6 months.
Yeah.
Forever. But we were sitting down talking about the year you'd had and all the stuff's going on in the roofing industry. And we're in my office and talking about how you love the financial industry and you're hoping you could do that at some point. And I said, hey, that could be your office, right? And you said, really? We gotta start
Well,
talking here.
okay.
Go ahead.
From the religious side, I look at everything that I went through, and Scott, you brought up something that you were talking about it too. When it comes to selling, I want to be in a position that I'm selling because I want to, not because I have to or out of desperation, right?
Right.
Because then you're going to end up giving it away. I almost did that last year. Started talking with someone that, I could have sold it. I wanted to short sell it. I was so frustrated. Just take over my debt. I'll give you 2 years of my time for X amount. You can have it. I was just done. And so I think it was a good time for me to be sitting down with you because I was looking for more. I just didn't know what. Was it sell this thing? Was it run away from this thing? But he put me in that, position in your office so that we could come up with this, because I think there's a real need in the industry for financial advice for the owners that can come from someone who's sitting in the same seat as them as well.
Exactly.
Because I don't know many roofing company owners that have a degree. Not to say that they're stupid.
No,
They're extremely smart. They can build. They can do all that stuff. But
there is nothing about a college degree that says you're smart.
No,
In
not
fact,
at all.
they're a little bit overrated nowadays, aren't
Oh,
they?
absolutely. I mean, I had one and I hardly used it. Now's my opportunity to use it. But everything I learned in college is outdated and doesn't exist.
Right.
So, but I do have real world experience. You guys bring up to date opportunities for us to take. The common denominator with roofers, if there's a storm, if we're going to talk about just storm restoration companies, you're going to make money.
Sure.
You get to keep it. That's the big thing. And when you don't know the numbers, you don't know if you're making money or not. You know it's there and they're big numbers and my revenue was X, but where did it go? And really getting down to the nitty gritty and showing guys how to find that money so that they can put it away, so that their wife knows. If he doesn't sell, we're still okay.
Right.
So you don't have that pressure of you should just go get a 9-to-5 and keep us safe. Because that's a real concern, right? We talked about that. So,
Well, and when it comes to that, we keep coming back to this idea of selling the company, right? That's always kind of that's something that as we have gone to conventions for roofers, that is something that keeps coming up again and again. And one of the things that we talk about in the finance world is not putting all your eggs in one basket. And if all you're doing is you're building this company and I'm going to sell it, and that's my moment, when I'm going to walk away and I'm going to be a millionaire, that's awesome if it works out.
that's a big if.
That's a big if. Not only is it going to be, what is the market going to be like for roofing companies at the time when I'm ready to sell? Is it going to be strong? Is it going to be weak? Are people going to be investing is private equity going to be investing like it is now in roofing companies? Am I going to be ready to sell? Is my company going to be ready to sell when I'm ready to sell? Because you might emotionally be ready to sell, right, Randy? When you just feel like you're done, but is your company going to actually be ready to sell for something that's of value?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And if if all of your future depends on that one moment, then first of all, that's a really high risk type of situation. But secondly, are you, is that moment going to work out for you? And if it doesn't work out for you and you have to sell anyway, now all of a sudden you have flushed hundreds of thousands of dollars into this company, and you don't have what you thought you were going to have walking away. So again, if you want to build your company and sell your company, awesome. If you want your company to provide something for you, an income that could potentially last forever, even if you're not involved in the business anymore, awesome. Let's make sure that we protect it. Let's make sure that we're putting something on the side. You're building some wealth for yourself without killing cash flow of business. Let's build something for yourself without destroying the business. Still helping the business be strong, helping it grow, and then you're going to be in a much better position to move forward in the way that you want to move forward, rather than depending on somebody else and how much they think your business is worth.
Well, and something I want to hope that we can find a way to hit on as we bring in other owners or whatever is to get to that emotional piece that a lot of us don't recognize. We go to the roofing conferences, and the exciting thing is selling.
Right.
And that's fine. But the boring thing is putting money away. But that's where this is a lot of the opportunities that you guys can provide it's different. It's not just putting money away and hoping the stock market takes care of it.
Yeah.
You're still at the wheel of this thing, and you get to use it. You get to use your business for more than just something to wake up and go to do and hope you do a good job that day. You're giving yourself more and more options,
Exactly.
And then
that's where real wealth comes from.
Yeah. But before you spend it, before you go throw that money away, get your finances aligned, right? We'll plug there.
Yep.
And know what money needs to go where.
Right.
You make an interesting point with the emotional part of everybody loves the idea of the sell. That is exciting. I don't think selling the company's the exciting part. I think it's the money you get from the sell. I think it's the big influx of cash that you can have at that point.
I don't disagree there, but I meet more and more roofers, and not all of them, but a lot of them want the attention of. They want to be able to tell that story. It's a lot like fishing. Fishing is boring. But when you get to tell the story about the big old fish you caught, right? Probably didn't even taste good when you cooked it, but you got a big fish story, right? That's where I feel like a lot of guys are being taken advantage of.
That's interesting, the big fish story.
They want the popularity. They want to be on a podcast. I'm not on this podcast because I sold my business. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm on here to tell you there's other ways to retire, and we can make that happen effectively. Yeah. And then selling can be icing on that cake.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's how it should be.
And you
should be setting this thing up for a time. Roofer, there's too much money in this industry to not be able to retire comfortably.
For sure.
And then on top of that, if you can retire extremely wealthy, great. Yep. Don't count on you just can't count on that stuff. And guys get taken advantage of left and right because it's a big shiny object. They don't know what the number is. Oh, but I get to sell it. That's all they talk about. They don't even know what the number they'd sell for yet.
Yeah.
So some guys, the guys that are really going to probably legitimately sell, might not listen to this podcast very much.
Yeah.
I get that. But there's a whole bunch that need to hear this stuff.
Right.
Because I don't want to say fast track. Good things don't really happen super fast.
Right.
Usually. But we can help them get things in line so they're not wasting their time.
Right.
Love it.
Cool.
Well, thanks. I think this was fun.
Yeah, this was great. This is going to be fun.
I hope my camera actually worked, by the way.
I hope it did too.
Well, that's all we have for today. We'll be covering all these subjects that we touched on today in future episodes. But
we're going to be bringing in a ton of guests, experts in the field, guys who are roofing business owners right now. We want to hear how it's going for them. If they're successful in something, we want to share their stories with all the rest of you. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. Okay, make sure to hit that like button. It helps us be seen by more and more people out there. And we'll talk to you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe as well.
Is that not the same thing? Like and subscribe?
No, it's not.
Okay, there's two of them.
I don't know what that is.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, please. All right. We'll see you next time.